Now, just for we can there's of course different ways to attach this. Um, I see two main ways. Either you could extend this inner frame a bit more. That will probably make enough resistance so it will sit in place just by pushing it in. That will be the simplest way. Or you could add materials in the edges and add screw holes, but then also the screw heads will protrude under here. And there's also another way. If you have a LiPo battery in here, you can extend the cables and you can have a charging cable coming out here in the edge, uh, and then you can just glue this tight. I just leave it like this for now because you can adapt it. You can adapt it how you want, and that can be done with regular tools, just drilling a hole where you want the cable. I think that's easier. So let's just see how everything looks now. I think we're sort of done. The roof looks a bit too what do you say? I'll add a couple of more of these round things, so it looks like a bit more is happening on the roof. So I will go back to this sketch, and there's another thing you can use here. If you want to work on one component and there's a lot of stuff in it in the way, you can right click on the component and choose isolate, because that hides all the rest. And I click on the sketch, and let's see. And there's tons of references there from all the things we did. I'm wondering why the center line actually snaps here, but not. Oh, now it does. Huh, that's strange. So let's put. We can put 3 more of these. Yeah, this is really strange. Now it snaps. It didn't do it before. Yeah, Fusion has these kind of strange things happening sometimes. You can see now it's not snapping, but if I just hold it over here, it starts. That's weird. Oh, I messed it up. Oh no, I didn't. So let's see the dimensions here. Yeah. Let's just make it 60 for now, because I thought I'm gonna do like this. I'm gonna see how much we have here. We have 199. Um, so with that said, we want to place this at around 100. Is close enough. And then we want 50 here if we want this to be at an even distance, and this one as well. There we go. Now we have a few more of them, and at an equal distance. So let's see what's going on. Let's double click on this extrude again and choose these new circles we made. There we go. Now it looks like a little bit more is happening there. That's good. I think we're done. So now we're gonna see how we split this and arrange it for 3D printing. And you can right click and unisolate when you're done if you did isolate something. And we click activate on the whole thing, so we see how it looks. It looks pretty good in my mind. We can take a look in perspective as well. And also we can highlight the track again, so see how it looks with the track. That's good enough for me. Now I can show you a few things to keep in mind here, and that is that when you put a name on a component, it does not put a name on the body, so the body only has a number. So what I try to keep in mind to do is I give these a name, so when I export them as STLs, I have a consistent name, so I know which one I have exported. So I call this main body, because all the ones that don't have a name are called body, so if you call it body, then you don't know if it's actually Fusion's name or yours. Then we take one of the window frames, and now we can start exporting them as well as we go. Frame parts, window frame, and we right click and export as STL. Now there are situations sometimes where it will actually not work, where you will get an error message when you try to export as STL. That means that there's something wrong with the geometry, and it's hard to say exactly. This could be a million reasons, so it's impossible to just say a general tip for that. But you just have to go through the geometry again. One tip is that if you have a complex geometry like paths and things, you can try to remove some things and then try to export, and that way you can try to pinpoint which feature it is that prevents you from being able to export it. Oh, I didn't export it. And we have the ends. Oh, that's weird. And then we have the roof, and before I export the roof I will do some tricks to it. I will show you a way to adapt it for 3D printing. And I see now that we did not actually we did not finish this. We have to combine the bodies here. We were too fast to make the battery box and stuff, so now we will actually activate the chassis and we will combine these three geometries because they will be printed as one. Oh, there's actually one thing more I can show you that can be of interest here. Let's deselect here the chassis and I will try to show you. On the bogies there is a plate that is rotating. That's the interface against the chassis, and that actually has a small thing here. I don't know what to call it, but this can be a stop to prevent the bogies from freely rotating. And the reason for that is that it's easier to place it on the track if you have a maximum angle here that prevents these from rotating just freely. It's not a must. You don't have to have it. You can have it plain like this, and you just put an M3 screw in here, and just screw it to to the chassis. That's good enough. But I placed it on some of my cars to prevent the bogies from just freely rotating. So you could do that if you want. I'll leave this like this for now. So let's export the chassis as well. So now it's only the roof left, but we're gonna do a trick with it to make it easier to print it. I did that with the other passenger car that I have on Thingiverse. I can just show you first how that looks. With this one, to get this really nice surface on the roof, um, I split the roof into several pieces. Right, so it prints like this in 3 pieces, and it prints vertically because that makes the shape of the roof round. If it was printed horizontally, you would get the layer lines here, which would be really ugly. So that makes a huge difference for the result. This is without any treatment. And you can see here that this is a bit more advanced design because you have these rooms for cables and for the lights and stuff. So this is a more advanced design. It also have doors that you can open and shut. So and yeah. But you can of course put more time into this. This is just a basic tutorial to show how this process, how you work with this. So let's do the same thing with the roof here, but I will only split it in 2. So let's just see how long we made it, and a way to do that, this is just an ugly way. I click on the edge and I click extrude, and then I click here. And if it wasn't for the million references there, it would go fast, but no. Fusion needs to think, oh, 274 millimeters. So what I will do, I will put a plane. If I right click here on the edge and I create an offset plane, and I put this right in the middle at 137. That's right in the middle. So what I do now is I will actually make a copy of the roof body. And I will deselect the first one so I have the original left there, because now I will really mess with the new one for the printing. So I will split it in half. I already had the body selected, so if you didn't have it selected, so it was like this, just click here or click on the body. Then with the splitting tool I would use this offset plane that I created. So now it's splitted in 2, and I will isolate this part so it's easier to work with it. Because what I will do now is I will put both these vertically. Move. I move it 90 degrees, and I will roll it around 90 degrees, or 280 degrees, sorry, like that. And I will take the other one as well and move it. I have to do it like this because I want this centerpiece, the small protrusion there, to be on the print bed, so that's why I'm turning it this way. Um, oh, I still have perspective. I don't want that. I want orthographic view. Let's first turn it around 180 degrees. Let's move these closer, but not too close. I'm gonna show you why. There they are, exactly the same height, and they're in the same place as well. So that's good. So let's keep them like that. And now we're gonna do the weird part of this. Fusion has to think a bit first. So yeah, let's click the surface here and create a sketch. And now we will create a support structure that will hold these two together while they're printing. And we want it to be 0.4 millimeter wide. Oh, 0.4, not plus 0.4. Because that's usually one nozzle width. And we click E for extrude, and we click the arrow, and we click here. Now Fusion thinks we want to cut, but we don't want to, we want to join. There we go. Now the reason we're doing this is that, oh, now we can see we have some small anomaly here. They're actually not at the exact same height. We'll see if that actually matters when we're putting them on. You can see here that it's actually, let's try to fix that. Let's try to fix that. That means some of the dimensions we had in the beginning were not exactly right. But we zoom in as much as we can and we try to fix this. This is what you get for not putting in all the dimensions. I think this is good enough. A lot of times it's worth to have a few kinks here and there instead of being super precise with entering all the dimensions everywhere. This gap that is here, still here, is too small to matter for the printing. So let's just keep it that way. So now we have, this is all one body, and what it does is that you can print it vertically like this, and the support in between here will mean that it's less likely that the printhead will knock this one of these over. So we print this as one part, and then you just break off this 0.4 millimeter support in the middle. You just use a knife or a sanding paper to just clear the remaining parts of it. And this works really well. I maybe have a picture of the STLs here. Yeah, here they are. It is the same kind of thing going on here, but it's 3 of them. But it's the same principle. So we'll export this. We'll call it something first. Roof print adapted. Also, if you split it to even more parts, it will be less there's a less risk of it being knocked over. This is still quite high, so a bit of a gambling, but then don't use too small layer heights here, because that will mean trouble. Use at least 0.2 millimeter. The ones that you saw in the picture. Oh, sorry, not that one. The ones here. This is done with 0.2 millimeter, and you get a surface like this. I mean, better than this is not desired on my part, at least. So now we have exported all the parts, so let's see how they look in Slicer. I used the Prusa i3 Mark II, and I use Slicer Prusa Edition to slice these parts. But if you use Cura works well as well, but I like Slicer. I think it's better than Cura. I get better results in it, at least. So so let's see. Train parts. Let's first look at the main body and the big parts and see if they fit on the print bed, or if we need to split them in some way. And Fusion, as you can see here now, Fusion has another axis orientation than the usual 3D printing slicing softwares, and you can change this in Fusion somewhere. I haven't done that yet. I should have, because this is annoying, but you can do it. So now we're seeing that we might have some problem here. It's a bit too long, actually. It is too long. Or there might be a chance we can fork it in here if we work with the angles. But that will be no. There's no chance. There's no chance. So what we need to split it. And so let's go back to Fusion. And let's forget our roof for now. And let's look at the body. And we can use the same strategy as we did with the roof. We right click on one of the sides and we create an offset plane. Oh, and wait a minute. First we have to activate the body, so we're working in the body. Offset plane. And now we don't have to put this in the middle. What we want to do is we want to put it in the middle in between some windows, because if we put it in the middle of a window, then the window frame will be messed up, because we want to print this with bridges. So it's really important to split it at a solid part and not in a window. So we'll split it here and split body, and we select the body, and we select the plane as a tool. There we are, and now we know that our chassis will also be too long. But we will start with exporting the body. Part 1. Export these. So now it's time for the chassis, because we know that will also be too long. So we have to take care of that. Now you can see a bug in Fusion here, because we have the body active, but it's still showing the chassis as if that was active. So that's a bug actually. But we'll activate it, and so let's see where we want to split this. I don't think we want to split this in the middle, and there is actually a good reason not to split these parts at the same point, because we want them to strengthen each other. So, and we don't want to split this frame and in the wrong place. So we'll split this as 2 points outside these parts on the bottom. So let's make a plane here, an offset plane. And let's put it just here. There, 65 millimeter. And also let's put another one. Also 65 millimeter. Now if you're really thinking fast, you will also have realized that these ends will be the same, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to export both of them because they will be identical. But there might be a chance that you've made some small details. If you're working on a scale car that is actually different in the ends, it'll make sense to do like this. So let's again split body, and we choose the body, and we choose the splitting tool. And I'm not sure if we can no, we cannot select several splitting tools. We can select several bodies to split, but not several splitting tools. But even if we're only using one of these ends, we will need to split the main body into places. So let's split it with the other tool as well here. There. Maybe one of these, maybe this blue now it was short enough to fit on the plate. That could be the case, but we like symmetry, right? So we'll do it this way. Jazz's end, I will call that. I will call this also end, but end 2. So we'll export this. And we'll export the end. Now what you do when you build this later on, you will I would first glue the chassis parts together. And but it depends. You could also glue the body parts together and then put it upside down and then glue the chassis parts. That will probably be easier because then you have the surface already. So there's a different ways, but put the roof on the last part, because as long as you don't have the roof, then you can put this upside down and you have a flat surface here to put it on. That makes a lot easier to work with it. So I think we exported everything we need now. So let's go back to Slicer and let's remove that one. So is a main body part 1. And let's see. Let's turn it around. So like that. That's perfect. And now I will export this back as an STL, because then I get the orientation right in the STL from the beginning next time I import.